Okay, good morning, everyone. We should have all of our friends out on YouTube connected now. Please let me know if there are any challenges to anybody using YouTube. We had a few technical issues this morning, as you may notice. This is not Carlos. And I have Norm with me. We don't seem to have any cameras, so you can't see our smiling, happy faces this morning, unfortunately. I don't know what's going on here with my technology, but it's not happy. Oh, and it just failed again. All right, well, never mind. So we'll do this sort of old school with just some charts. Norm, hopefully you're doing okay this morning.
I'm doing well, Peter. Hopefully you are too. Apologize, we got a little bit of a late start. We got Carlos had a little bit of a family issue and just found out about this morning. So we are putting it together with some duct tape and chewing gum, and we've had this show go on for over 2 years now, so we'll get, the show must go on, right, Peter?
Exactly. We'll MacGyver it this morning. We'll figure it out.
Yes.
So, with that, I don't really have a summary of yesterday. Yesterday was first trading day of this year, and it was pretty good one for a number of people. I only had a so-so day, so I know that the trading was all over the place. Hopefully, Norm, I know you started well with a good pre-market trade. Hopefully, the rest of your day went well yesterday.
Yeah, it was good, man. It was
Good.
good. I was pretty much done by the time the market opened. So
Oh, there you go. That's the way to do it. All right. Well, let's focus on today, everyone, and let's start with the market pulse. We might as well go there. I've got the economic reports, the only one I see. But
you're
Norman,
not
I'm gonna
sharing
hand
your
over to
screen
you.
in the room, Peter.
Sorry.
You don't have a screen share up in the room.
Oh, you're absolutely correct. So you're right. One sec, and let me
All right,
fix that.
I'll do market pulse. I'll do market pulse while you do that. Yeah. So yesterday, I mean, we started out on a pretty decent note, and then the markets just started selling off. And it was a pretty sizable sell off. Nothing too scary, but I know that it's got some people a little bit nervous about what this year has in store. This morning, when I got up, futures were flat. Now we're down about 0.25% on the SPY, 0.4 on the Qs. So pulling back a little bit here, but surprisingly, the gappers is pretty full of some names based on catalysts in industries for the most part. Some individual things here and there. But I mean, it's a little more red than green, but it's more even split than one might anticipate, with a little bit of nervousness. Obviously, we've got the Georgia Senate runoff elections today. Who knows when we'll have an answer to those? They say days to weeks. Every time they said that in the past, with the exception of November, just a couple of months ago, it's been relatively quick, but we'll see. If it drags out, that might put some volatility in the markets. If there's certain decisions, that might put some volatility in the market here in the next few days. But we can trade it either way, so that works. We do have a Fed president speaking, I guess right now, actually, no, at 9:30, excuse me, right as the market opens. You gotta love when they speak right when the market opens. And then 10 a.m. ISM manufacturing index for December will come out, and another Fed speaker late in the afternoon. So that's what we got for today. Today's the last day of the historic Santa Claus rally. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, as you can see on the screen, we had quite a sell-off sort of throughout the midday yesterday. On decent volume, but not humongous volume. You can see we actually had bigger volume into the close, with some closing out of positions. So we'll see what happens today. But as you point out, Norm, we got a couple of Fed speakers happening, as well as the ISM manufacturing at 10. So see where we go.
I think I'll say one other thing. Part of it is some uncertainty here, but also if this market has been just on a tear overall since the lows last mid-March, with the 19th, I believe. So it's not surprising to me. I mean, we've got some of these securities that are up multiple hundreds of percent. And for people to lock in gains right now is not surprising to me. They wouldn't have done it last year because then they would have had to pay taxes on it immediately. They can hold on a few more days and close them out this year. Then they've got a whole nother year before they have to pay taxes on any gains they had. So something to keep in mind too, as we're sitting here right at the turn of the calendar.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Okay, so let's take a look at what is moving today. I don't have the market movers up there, but I do have our gappers out of Trade Ideas. So we'll take a look at that and see what we got. We'll start, since there's fewer of them, we'll start with the things that are gapping up. And I haven't had a chance to look up anything, so I'm going to have to rely on you here, Norm, for these. The only one actually I did look at was the CYTH, and I didn't see any news, but I saw that it was a low float with just under 5 million share float. I have no idea what's going on with it, though.
They had some positive results in a drug trial.
Okay. So looking at the chart here, not bad pre-market. The daily doesn't look that great. Look at these tiny little candles that are happening on the daily down here. So not something I'm probably going to put, do this, down here you can see. Not something I'll probably put a lot of focus on, but until I find something better, I'll keep it on my list. Moving down, we have CHL, another ticker I am not familiar with. What is the deal with
that? Is China Mobile, or I believe. Yeah, there's been some talk about delisting and such, and some regulatory issues with Chinese telecoms specifically. It seems like there might be a little bit of a reprieve there, so we'll see a few things along those lines in our gappers list, this being one of them.
All right, CHL looks terrible, so I'm not even going to look at that on my list. The pre-market action is awful here. So, despite the fact that it's got 2 million shares traded, I don't know where that volume is because it doesn't look good. It's weird; it doesn't show up. Anyways, we'll spend no more time on it. Let's see what else we got here. GOEV. That sounds like it's an EV company, but not one I'm familiar with. What is this thing?
Yes, it is. It's an EV company. This is pretty new.
Every time I turn around, there's another one.
This has been on the list. Yeah, it's just like the pot companies and how they kept popping up, and the Bitcoin companies and all that. So, this has been our gappers list for the last, I don't know what. On and off, we've had it over the last month pop up. I haven't seen any good trades on it. The pre-market looks a little spotty and strange to me. Yeah. Not a big fan.
Yeah, agreed. So I don't know. I'll leave it here for now, but I am not a fan. What I do see is they do have what we sometimes call our tinfoil line here at 8 o'clock. You can see we get this bar candle, which tells me there is some institutional investing, or you don't normally get these bars in it, which just shows a settling of accounts. But it doesn't necessarily mean the price action is going to be any good. Is this one a low float? Do you know what the float is on this offhand?
Finviz has it listed about 24 million.
Okay, so it's not that bad, but anyways, probably nothing we'll take a big look at. All right. Let's move on then. Fubo. Whoops, if I can type properly. It's certainly been on our list for the last, I don't know. Probably since you can see here in the daily, it did this spike up, I think, is when it first got our attention. And then I've been surprised at how consistent this sell-off is. I was expecting, you can see here, right, the 28th, 29th, I was expecting it to sort of level out and maybe do a little bit of a pullback up, but that didn't occur. It just kept selling off, including yesterday. So today, I assume this is just a continuation. No, nothing new on it.
I have not seen anything new on Fubo this morning. But as we've mentioned, when Carlos and I are doing the pre-market show, like you said, this is the reason you can't trade in anticipation you have, because you never know. You'd have been hosed every day for the last 2 weeks trying to wait on something or getting in on a pullback. Let the price dictate how you trade it. That having been said, it looks like maybe it's come. This 26 area is a really strong support. So if it holds this, it might be an interesting trade. Traded below that yesterday, and as we can see, we're gapping up above it this morning. I haven't seen anything fresh on it though, but I do know that the sentiment on this on the street is pretty divided between people that think this should be an $8 stock and people that think this should be a $50 or $60 stock.
Oh, good. That's always lovely. So,
oh yeah,
anywhere between.
And it does have it's a 8 and 50. Grab a dart and throw it. But this does have a short float of roughly 42%.
Wow.
It says it's 39% on Trade Ideas, 42% on FinViz. I know a lot of people have gotten short. It got part of what started pulling this thing back was it got hit by a short report from a sell side, small sell side, company that produced some research on it and so forth. So could at some point be in here for a squeeze, but once again, you can't anticipate when that's going to happen. You just got to trade it if and when it does.
Yeah. Pre-market is pretty flat. You can see it just bouncing around here just above the VWAP. So I'll keep it on the list. We might set some levels on it, but I have not yet traded this, and unless I see something great, I probably won't. So last one that's really gapping with any significance on my list here is SKLZ, another ticker I have zero familiarity with. I don't know that I've ever seen.
For the Americans in the room, that is Z.
Sorry, I didn't translate to American. See, now I can't even speak on regular letters.
SKLZ or Z.
SKLZ.
But that's all right. I used to think you guys were the weirdos, but it turns out it's us. Everybody in the world calls it Z except for us.
SKLZ.
So,
anyways.
This is an esports mobile gaming company and such. It's a recent, I believe it was a SPAC that recently did their reverse merger not too long ago. They have been on a tear from around $10 up here to over 20, had a little pullback. I've read a few pieces on this that there's some people that are really bullish on the potential market here. So they don't make any money now, but I don't think it's the best. That having been said, I've considered actually taking a bite of this for swing trade. I might be too late now, but I don't know that it's the best intraday trading company. So
yeah, neither the pre-market nor the daily look great to me. The daily, as you said, Norm, it sort of moved up to 20, and now it's just been hanging around there for, you can see, 2 weeks now. And so far in the pre-market, it's got big gaps here. So a little bit of volume, but nothing particularly fun. So let's just in the nature of time here, I'm going to skip over to our gappers down, and we'll come back and pick up.
I would do one more here for sure. Peter, and that's MU. MU got a double up. Yeah, MU got a double upgrade this morning out of Citigroup from all the way from a sell rating at a $35 price target to a buy rating at $100. Talking about increased, I
love it.
Yeah, you gotta love it. Only them and weathermen, and it can be wrong as often as they are. But and nothing against weathermen, I'm a weather nerd. But they got a double upgrade out of Citigroup this morning, talking about DRAM market coming into light and having a ton of demand coming up. I can tell you by owning some companies in this space and longer term holds, the memory chip is like a commodity. And it's extremely cyclical. So they're anticipating a burst of DRAM demand to come up that we haven't seen in a few years. So,
well, if you look at their chart in the last couple of days, they certainly, the last day of the year and then yesterday, they did have some good movement. So I was surprised.
Yeah.
MU can be a tricky one to trade, I find. I mean, I trade AMD, as many people know, regularly, and I find it just moves smoother than MU. But when MU does go, you can get some great sort of trend moves. And you can see on the 31st, it moved up well and then consolidated for the latter half of the day. And yesterday, I did a spike up and then sort of a move down to the $74 level. So, yeah, Norm, to your point, if they get this double upgrade today, they could be a mover. So thanks for that. We'll keep that one on the list. All right. Okay, so yeah, looking at the ones that are gapping down. Oh, the SPY just put in a big candle. That's interesting. Anyways, it's suddenly jumping here. Anyways, let's look at our down gappers. Oh, good. It's BNGO. We were playing bingo, or people were talking about it yesterday. Sorry?
Yes, Bingo was his name-o.
Bingo was his name-o, yes. Can I buy an eye, please? Wow, some weird candles early. He ran 8 o'clock. I don't know what that is. That's some strange price action going on here. But right now it seems to have settled out, and it's moving fairly consistently. 10 million share volume already this morning. So, Norm, is this just a continuation of the move we had in the last couple of days, or is there something new going on?
I'm not seeing anything fresh here, man. I mean, I know that they have that they're a healthcare company with some autism news. I have not paid close attention to this. I've looked at it, haven't liked the way it moves, so I haven't paid a ton of attention. But I don't know that it's a ton of. I don't think it's anything fresh like as of this morning.
Wow.
It's had a big run, so the pullback is not pullback we're getting here isn't unexpected.
Yeah, some people are pointing out here the RSI is up at like 99. So that's pretty crazy. Anyways, on the daily, but I'll leave it on here because it has been a mover and people have traded it. So we'll see what happens. Oh, now we get to play in Bitcoin here. BTBT, another one I haven't traded. It's been on people's lips. A number of people have been taking trades in it, but I have not played the whole Bitcoin activity. I don't have my screen up to check what the price is this morning of Bitcoin, but BTBT is moving. I assume this is just on general. Let's see, what is the price of Bitcoin right now? 32,000. Wow.
Yeah, I think that Bitcoin pulled back something like 8% or so yesterday, so that's hitting some of these a little bit.
Right, so it's down a bit, just moving with that. I haven't watched the intraday price action to know whether it's one that I would actually want to trade, but doing that others look at it, I will leave it on my list for the time being. Let's move on to EBON. EBON. What is again? All these tickers I've just never heard of before. EBON.
Yeah, this is a Chinese computer hardware company. I'm not a big fan of this one either. This is I believe they build hardware for cryptocurrency mining in China.
Okay. They have just less than 500,000 shares today, so not really huge volume. 76 million share float. Price action so far doesn't actually look good. It's pretty flat. When you get these little flat candles like this in here, I'm not a big fan of that. So unless those clear up in the next 20 minutes as we get closer to the open, I probably won't pay it much mind. I'll leave it here for now. CAN has been on our list, so at least here's something that I've seen. Canan Inc. Again, one that I have not traded, but I have seen it on our list over the last week or two. Still 500,000 shares on this one. I'm not seeing anything particularly special unless you tell me there's some fantastic new news on it. Norm, I will just keep moving.
Bitcoin.
Okay, QS. Now, QS was on my list, I think yesterday, or was it last year? No, it was yesterday, because it had popped up. I didn't end up trading it, but I kept an eye on it. It's on our list again today, down 5.5%. We have 1 million shares traded on it. Yeah, pre-market looks okay, but not fantastic. I don't even remember what the news was yesterday. But,
on which one?
QS.
Yeah, I didn't pay much attention to that. I'm not a huge fan of that.
Not a fan. Big float. It's a U.S. auto parts manufacturer, so I'm not sure if they're making parts for EVs. That's usually the reason why things start moving around here, especially in auto parts. But Anyway, I'll leave it there. Maybe we set some levels on it. What else? I got a lot of stuff then. It's sort of low, decrease. I just LAZR just jumped up on our list. LAZR. Let me speak in an intelligible way. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything great there. We got a couple more of the standard movers. Riot, another blockchain company, as we all know. FCell, BLNK. Let me go to the room actually, and YouTube. Is there anything else? Like, we got a bunch of stuff sort of just a couple % up, only a couple 100,000 shares. I'm really not going to spend a lot of time looking at them unless they're great movers. So let's take a look at what you guys are pointing out. NEO is one. NEO, of course, has been on our list for, what, like 3 months now? And we certainly watched in the room a number of people, including Andrew, trade this very profitably. It's continuing to do its normal NEO stuff with over 4 million shares traded pre-market, down from how many shares it used to trade pre-market, but still a good volume. It's just sort of hanging around here. It's been in a range just over $40, not able to break through 55 for about a month now. So might be worth keeping on the list just to see what it does. I'll put it here. Well, the other one, of course, related to it, Tesla. Tesla been playing at all-time highs. It hit a new all-time high yesterday, and today it has the possibility of doing so again. I see pre-market, it was actually up a fair amount here. Oh no, well, I guess it was up over where it closed yesterday, which the close yesterday was just under $730. Seems crazy to say that. Didn't they split just a while ago? Anyways, look at this thing, man. Had you just put money in it in mid-November, you would have doubled it by now. But Tesla's the one that people are trading a lot. It's always moving. What else you guys got? Let's check YouTube, see what you've got. NVIDIA. People are looking at, I see JD and NVIDIA. So let's throw these two on here and take a peek. I've never liked trading JD. There's very, very rare days where I find that it moves in a way. Like, if you look at the daily, you can tell there's all these little candles where it's really just sort of moving up and down. And even the pre-market doesn't look great. I know a lot of people keep an eye on it, and every once in a while you'll get a day like this one maybe where you get some good movement on it, but otherwise I'm not a fan, to be honest. So I don't see anything special in JD for this morning, unless, Norm, you see that there's news on it. I'll probably just move off of it. And NVIDIA's got a weird, terrible daily. Look at this range. I haven't looked at the daily in NVIDIA in a while. What is this? 512 to 540, which is not a huge range on a stock of this price, and you can see it looks pretty flat for almost 2 months now. And the so far pre-market, nothing to speak of, less than 100,000 shares.
Couldn't agree more.
Last one I'll just take a look at from what you guys are talking about. Apple, since people are pointing out now, Apple has been moving. Again, the daily chart just, it's not anything exceptional, but Apple can have some consistent moves. I have traded Apple myself quite a bit through December, and then I did trade it again yesterday. It's sort of okay. I'm not sure why I keep going back to it, honestly, because when I journal at the end of the day, I look at my trades, and all of my trades on Apple are always sort of marginal at best. But for some reason, I keep getting drawn back to it. I feel like, if you guys remember Andrew, when he was like almost obsessively trading Apple, that he wanted to defeat it, and it didn't actually work out all that well. So maybe I should stop before I fall victim to that. Pre-market anyways, Apple, it usually has a good million shares. It has that again today. I see it gapping down slightly. Again, nothing special. This looks like normal Apple activity, and I'm not aware of any sort of good new news on it to spark my interest. So I'll leave it here for level setting, but that's about it. All right, Norm, anything that you're watching that we haven't yet covered?
Low float of the day is PAC, PECK.
PAC. All right. So how low of a float are we talking about here?
What is PAC? PAC. Hang on, I think it's 4 million, but let me verify that.
I see 2
million on FinVid.
2 million.
2 million on FinVid.
All right. Low flow today. 2 million share float. Already traded 3.4. Looks like it'll more than double its float pre-market alone. I see it's up here, a good 130% and moving. What's the news on PEC?
The news on PEC, they acquired alternative energy company, I believe, is what's going on with that.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I can see they're moving up. They're right at a level here on the daily where they're just about to poke over. Well, I don't know if this is their all-time high, but certainly a recent highs here. So we'll keep that on the list. Oh, it's not all-time high. They had another big jump up here up to $26. All right. Well, we will. Whoops. We will take a look at PEC, and I'll just set this level since I'm in here right now. But we will leave that on our list. And that's odd. Out of nowhere, my camera just... I hit the wrong thing. All right. Guys, you can tell I'm having a little technical issues here. All right, we'll get this all worked out. All right, so we've got a few things to set levels on. That was user error. That was me. All right, why don't we go to announcements again? I don't have any cameras, but at least I do have the announcements up here. I'll hand it over to Norm. Maybe you can bring us back into some semblance of normalcy.
All right. Tonight, we've got Thor's success webinar. We've had a couple weeks off just because of the holidays and everything. We're back at it. Starting off the new year with how to set up and use fixed risk hotkeys. I know he's excited about giving this one. It's something that has substantially helped his trading. That is tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. And then next week, we have Dr. Gary Dayton talking about mental blind spots of traders, how hidden habits and decision-making affect trading. Looking forward to that. I haven't heard from him before. I'm not familiar with Dr. Gary Dayton. All right, tomorrow night we've got Dr. Kenneth Reed talking about the trend following. This is part 2 of his 2-part series on trend following, 8 p.m. Eastern. And then next week we've got one of our in-house psychologists, Kreda, talking about imagining your way to trading success using mental imagery to help improve your trading performance. That'll be at 5 p.m. because she is in Europe. So not to keep her up too late, and it'll be at 5 p.m. next Wednesday.
Don't let the titles throw you off, by the way, everyone. Kreda's presentations are always fantastic, and sometimes I see them, I'm like, imagining your way. I'm like, oh, I'm not sure. But they're usually very insightful, and they'll teach you something I can guarantee you haven't yet thought of. So
I think we have a hippie intern that's writing these, maybe. All right. If you want to participate in the trade of the day, trade of the week, take a screenshot of your best trade of the day. It should have entries and exits, obviously, on it, and then mark it up with a description of the trade and your strategy, why you took it, everything like that. Post it on Twitter, tagging at Variable Traders. That might be _BBT and at NormBBT. Also use the hashtags BBT Family, Day Trading Stock Market. We will announce the winner every day in the closing bell show and on Twitter, and then the team votes from the trades of the day. Takes all of them for the week, vote over the weekend, and we'll announce on Monday the trade of the week. That'll be also announced on the Monday closing bell show and on Twitter. All right, let's see here. If you are watching on YouTube and you'd like to give the chat a try, use the promo code premarket24. That'll give you access to our onboarding class that Carlos does every Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. And 5 days, trading days in the chat room, 7 calendar days as part of the community. Does not auto-renew or turn into any other kind of discount. Or membership, excuse me. I am all over the place.
This is probably my fault.
I got too much sleep this morning, or last night.
Well, it's always one or the other, right? Not enough, too much.
Yeah.
All
right.
My wife got me a late Christmas gift. I am now on the living by my wrist crew, where I've now got a Fitbit that tells me when I'm supposed to get up and walk, and it gives me a sleep score at the end of the day. So now my wife, when I wake up, she's like, "What's your sleep score?" And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't apparently been completely indoctrinated into the occult here, so that I really care what my wrist device tells me how well I slept. But
Yeah, I think things have gone overboard on some of that stuff. I agree with you. My wife does the same thing.
I always like to tell the story
Am I
where I was
tired? Am I tired or am I not? Is worked for
exactly.
millennia. So
Exactly. I like to tell the story where my wife, when she first got her Fitbit after a couple of weeks, she said, "Oh my God, I forgot it upstairs. Hun, can you go get it for me?" And I'm like, "Well, you can go get it." She's like, "No, then my steps won't count." I'm like, "Seriously? Like you're
oh
not willing to
god,
walk upstairs to get it because you're worried that those 20 steps aren't going to count?" I'm like,
that's
"Yeah."
that's pretty funny, Peter. All right, on the
Anyways, enough
level.
storytelling. Let's set some levels. Thank you, Norm, for doing the announcements. All right, guys, bear with us here. I'll hopefully get us back on track. All right, we'll start with the ones that we had looked at here. I'm going to go quickly from some of them. Like CYTH we had on the list. Guys, it's still, the pre-market is looking a little bit better. It's not bad. It's got 2.8 million shares. The daily, though, not looking great at all. I'm going to set some daily levels here just in case we get some movement. Up here, I see a level that I like here at 873. So I'm going to put something right there at 873 in case it does get up that high. We're sitting at 570, but being that it's already up 34%, it has the possibility of getting there. You can see an area of consolidation that it would have to sort of push through if the price goes. If it drops, well, frankly, I probably wouldn't be interested in this, but there is sort of a level of support down here around $3.60. So what is the low here? 357, in fact, I see on this. So let me just set this at 357. And we've got that. What is going on here? Sorry, my screens keep changing when I hit certain keys, so I got to be careful here. Anyways, so that's all I'm going to do for CYT. GOEV was a new EV company that we saw on here, up 8%, 300,000 shares. I won't spend a lot of time on this other than I'll set a level here at 1660 because it's after this gap that we can see happened in early December. Other than that, it's sitting in this range. Yeah, I'm not going to spend more time on it. Fubo, however, it is of interest. A lot of people are trading it. Already have almost 5 million shares traded. I do think it's worth looking at. So I can see it had a spike level here at 32.73. I will set a level there at 32. I want this right at 32.73. 32.73. And why is it every time I type in there it changes my screens? That is so weird. Anyways, all right, 32.73. Little to no hope it's going to get any higher than that today, but you never know. On today's chart, we have what I call the tinfoil line that was coined by Thor. It's really a settling of pre-market accounts. You can see at 8 o'clock, you often get this sort of candle that's bigger than all the surrounding ones. You can see it right here on Fubo. So I'm going to mark the high and the low of that because sometimes it pays attention to that, sometimes it doesn't. You never know. On this stock, I can already see, if you look at this level right here happens to match with the level that it's set around 715. So we'll see if it has any forward support, anyways, provides support for Fubo if it goes down to that level. So I'll mark them anyways. You notice I mark them in a different color. It might be hard to see there, but I've marked it in yellow on my screen because I use black charts and the yellow shows up well. So I'll leave that in there for Fubo, and then we'll see if it goes higher than the previous couple of days. We'll get more levels out of that. SKLZ, I left on here. Still don't like the pre-market. I'm just going to remove it and not pay attention. MU had that double upgrade we talked about. Well, I've already got the high from yesterday, Mark. That is a level to watch absolutely here at 78.61. So that's, you can see automatically on my chart. In fact, the previous 2 days gives me some highs and lows to take a look at. Looking at the daily chart, frankly, I don't have anything else more significant. Now, are we playing... I'm just going to go back in time here. Are we playing at all-time high levels? It looks like it. Yeah, so let's just go back to the 2000s. So it did, back in 1999, 2000, it did trade higher than this. That's so long ago, it's ancient history more than relevant. But I'll just mark something up here to say, so it has been as high as $97.50. All right, so I don't know how relevant these levels from 20 years ago will be, but I'll put them in there. So we have been higher, but certainly not in the last 2 decades. So we'll keep an eye on MU and see if it gets a push off of those upgrades. On our gappers down, BNGO has been one that people have been looking at. Again, my highs and lows of the previous 2 days are marked, and that's already giving me a good bracket range for BNGO. Other than that, I'm going to mark the high and low of that 8 a.m. candle. Like I said, that settlement candle here. This one's a little odd with these series of candles where it spiked to a high of $6.15 or so. I'm going to mark a level there just in case, but we're pulling back now, so I don't know what this is likely to do. Maybe those of you that have traded it more, you can tell me. Let me look at a 5-minute chart, look back a couple of days. How big of a mover has it actually been? Yeah, it's moved a couple of dollars. I can see yesterday it sort of went from opening at 460 up to a high of $7. So it does have the possibility certainly of hitting this 616 level and maybe even higher to some of what it did yesterday. So we'll see. We'll see what it puts out for today. BTBT, again, levels of the last 2 days give me some good areas to take a look at. I do have an 8 a.m. settlement candle, which I will mark here with the highs and lows around $26.80 and $29. I can see it's well below $29.27 was the previous close here, down 10%. So we'll see. Its fortunes, I assume, are tied to what the blockchain companies or prices do. So we'll see what happens there with Bitcoin. EBON I had on the list just to see what happens. The pre-market action has gotten a little better. Still not that excited by it. It has already, again, the previous low and the previous 2 days. So 2 days ago low and yesterday's high give me brackets for it that are already set. Probably no other levels I need to set on that one. CAN, same thing. It's playing within a range of those last 2 candles, the last day of the year, last year and yesterday's. So again, to me, that's just a good bracket range. I probably don't need to mark any more levels on CAN. QS, we're sitting at the low end of the range here as QS has been pulling back for a few days and continues to slide. Because of that, I will set a level down here where it sort of bounced off of this day back right at the beginning, 2nd of December, with a low of 28.63. So 28.63. Let me use different numbers and see if 28.63. Well, that worked better. No, it didn't. It still changes my screen. All right. So I'll have that on QS, and wow, it has a big range here, doesn't it? Up at 122. So we'll see what happens on that one today. Now we get into the ones that you guys pointed out. NEO, as we know, has been a consistent mover. I already have sort of the high marked here at 57.20. I think that's the all-time high that we had set. I will also mark this 8 a.m. candle, like I pointed out. We'll see if that comes into play today. NEO, sometimes it has come into play. So the high here is 53.95. You can see in the low 51.95. So exactly a $2 range on that candle. We'll keep that marked in there and see if that has any significance on the day today on NEO. Other than that, once again, the high and low of the previous 2 days gives me some good range. The only other level I want to mark here is I'm going to mark right around here at 55.50 because I can see I had 2 days in November the 23rd and November the 25th November the 27th that both hit that level. So we'll see if that provides any resistance if NEO gets a move up. Tesla, as we mentioned, all-time highs. We've got the all-time high set just yesterday. And we'll see if Tesla can test that. It's only $20 away. Those are probably the good levels for me right now. Apple, same thing. We're sitting in a bracket line here on Apple, meaning that yesterday it's maybe setting up an inside day here on Apple, whereas yesterday's candle movement had a $5 movement, and so far in pre-market it's playing within yesterday's range. If it breaks below that, it could go down here as low as 23.50-ish. If it breaks above it, well, then we have the levels up to the all-time high here, which is a 138.80 roughly. Other than that, they will set, like I mentioned, this 8 a.m. range here and see if that comes into play. It's playing below the low of that candle right now. That might provide some resistance if it goes up here at 128.85, 86 actually is where the low of that is. So There we go. So we've got a good level on that. We'll see if that comes into play in Apple. And last but not least of the ones I have on my list here is PEC, which you mentioned, low float of the day. It could be fun. I mean, look at this daily, right? It looks pretty flat except for this big candle up. I can see that we hit this level, this 1442. Let me just see here. Back in October, and then in September, 1430. So definitely worth setting a level right there and see what happens. It did actually, you notice, came to that same area earlier this morning, so it very well could go back to and through that level. So we'll see if that happens on PEC. So that's everything I've got on my list. For my sake, the only thing I will do here is I have to take a look at AMD since it's something I generally trade every day. You can see it hasn't really had, based on a daily chart, it hasn't moved much. It gives me movements that I don't mind playing, but it doesn't look great on the daily, frankly. Nothing particularly in play about AMD, so not one I would necessarily recommend people follow, especially with MU might be a better bet today, but I'll keep an eye on it anyway since I always do. And as I always do, I'm just going to mark the pre-market high and low here, that 8 a.m. candle, and then around here at the all-time high that it's set right around $98. Still looking for it to get over 100, which it may or may not do sometime in the next few days, so we'll see. All right. We're running into time here. I'll just take one last look on both YouTube and the room to see if there's anything else you guys are mentioning that I haven't yet taken a look at that we should take a peek at. I see, Edwin, you're throwing out Plug. Let's take a look at Plug. I know it's sort of been a mover on the list. It's okay. It's got some okay pre-market action, but not great. Only 450,000 shares, nothing big going on the daily. I don't know if it's had any news. Let's see if there's any news on Plug that I can see. Hosting a conference call. Yeah, I don't really see anything big on it. So, it might be a mover, but I will just leave it and see if it jumps into play a little bit later. And I see you guys are throwing out a last one I'll look at then for this morning, DKNG here. DKNG is, let's see, it's down 2% today, only 300,000 shares. Pre-market doesn't look great. It is at the bottom of a range here. It's been falling, and if it drops this area, there could be a drop here coming on DKNG. I see levels down here. I would mark one here just at 40.90, and then at 38.45. You can see in my chart. If it really has a sell-off, this level will be one to watch. Certainly around $35. If it drops that, it could be in trouble. But I don't really expect it to get that low today. You never know. Maybe it will. And we'll see what happens. All right, I'm going to do the last thing I'll do this morning, and thank you for pointing those out to me, everyone. Is just to see what some of our mods are looking at. I don't have the ability to easily put this up on the screen here, so let me just see if I can bring our mod list over and have it make sense. We'll do this right here for you guys. Hopefully this is showing up for you. So this morning we have Eamon on his watch list. He's got BNGO, PDD, MU with a secondary of CAN, Baba, and Tesla. We haven't looked at Baba. Maybe we'll take a peek at that. Tiffany's watching NEO and Fubo with a secondary of XPEV, MU, and Tesla. John is watching mRNA, PDD, and Baidu. Brian is taking a look at Fubo, NEO, CAN, FSLR, and his low float fun stock of the day is PEC. Mike is just going to check his scanners to see what jumps up for high day breaks. Thor is watching Fubo, NEO, and PEC, so we're seeing a lot of consistency here. And last but not least, Andrew is watching NEO, PEC, Fubo, XPEV, and Tesla. So we've got some consistent items that people are watching and are taking a look at this morning. So let's take a look at what's the one that Tiffany was watching that I didn't have on the list here? I thought it was Tiffany. Somebody's watching something different. Maybe not. Maybe it was Eamon, PDD. Let's just take a look at PDD. I lost my memory already of what I was talking about. All right. PDD Yeah, it looks terrible pre-market. Might have some move in it. I'm not sure what Eamon is looking for in it, but that's one obviously that is targeted on his list. So thanks so much for joining us and putting up with it. A little sketchy this morning, but we got through. Appreciate your patience. Carlos should be back with us tomorrow morning to get everything back on track with the professionalism you've become accustomed to. So thank you so much, Norm, as always, for joining and helping me out. I needed it. And we will talk to you tomorrow. Or actually, for me, this afternoon, if you're doing the close, will be live on YouTube. For anybody that just joins on YouTube, please give us a like out there, and we will talk to you later.
Thanks for helping out. Have a good day, everybody.